All right, thank you so much for being with us. The conversation begins right now, right? Tweet at Trevor Mbija, at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're talking about all issues around politics, and we're talking to the young people. We're calling it the Youth View on BBI 2022 succession and general politics as well. Let me introduce my guests real fast, beginning from my right, Begi Gesicho, for the very first time here, right? Thank you so much for coming through. Former Member of Parliament aspirant in Nandi. Yes. So you're still running again?
Yes, I am.
All right, brilliant. It's good to see you. Frederick Okango is here, Secretary General, Third Way Alliance. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
And Vivian Tar, governance expert. Thank you so much for making time. You haven't mentioned if you're running or not, but we will. No pressure. No pressure. Thank you so much for making time. Let's start off with the daily, see what's going on there. One of the things that we were talking about earlier on today is Ruto missing as Uhuru meets with the cabinet amid looming reshuffle. So the deputy president is absent at special cabinet meetings and a general forum where CSs, principal secretaries, and chief administrative secretaries met the president. Okango, what do you see in the deteriorating Uhuru-Ruto duo?
Thank you, Trevor. I think it is important, first of all, to recognize the role that a deputy president should be playing in the country's governance. It is important also to understand that as the deputy president, he is the principal assistant to the president and would also do any other assignment as allocated to him by the president. Yeah. And if you look at yesterday's meeting, it was a meeting of senior government officials, particularly the executive. He is part of the executive by definition and interpretation of Article 152. He was not there. If you look at previous engagements by the president where the executive have been involved, he has been missing severally, right from the time when the management of the COVID, there are certain serious meetings that he was not available, and all the way some meetings that happened at State House were not available. Yeah. Somebody would argue that probably the deputy president, Dr. William Ruto, was not invited. But by virtue of his office and by definition of the position that he holds, the expectation is that the principal assistant to the president must be present in such meetings. So in my view, I look at it as when we go for succession politics, there are certain things that are happening. One of them is maybe the deputy president is trying to do more of positioning himself for the 2022 and abandoning the promise that the people of Kenya, the promise that they gave the people of Kenya to work for them. Yeah. Some of these meetings are meetings to outline the work plan, projects for the people, and particularly the Jubilee government. Remember, in electing the president, the candidate for president nominates the running mate, who is the DP, and they are elected as a joint pair, as a ticket, and they cannot separate from each other, whether in success or in failure. Yeah. And today, we have seen a deputy president who has said that the government has failed. So it is in self-admission that Jubilee government has failed by the fact that the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya has said that government has failed in so many ways. Yeah. He has said that they have not achieved the Big Four agenda. He has said that they have not given the youth jobs, the young people. He has said that there are strangers that came into government that have stopped them from achieving the Jubilee manifesto. Trevor, to that extent, you see a government that has admitted from one part that they have failed. But the most thing that Kenyans dread is a political party that is divided into two, and not just a political party, a ruling party with two political leaders pulling in different directions. It is scary. Yeah. It is something that the people that want services, because they elected Jubilee government on the merit that they will succeed and provide those services to them, they are very worried today.
Vivian, what do you see in this deteriorating relationship between the top executive?
For me, it's really uncalled for. The people need a government that works. The people need a government that delivers services to them. The reason we go to elections every 5 years is to elect representatives who will rule on behalf of the people and make sure that, healthcare is working, education is working, people have jobs. We've just come from a pandemic. The leadership should be able to address these things.
Yeah.
And coming right from the back of, from 2013 all the way to 2017, the impression we got from the duo, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Deputy President Ruto, was that they had synergy and they were aligned in terms of what they wanted to deliver to the people. So right now, the people who are hurting are actually the people who elected them into office. Yeah. Remember, in 2017, we actually had to go for a repeat presidential election where part of, some people boycotted and others went back to vote again, in the belief that these are the people who carry our aspirations and will deliver. So it's very sad to see that now they've publicly, divorced. The deputy president doesn't attend his official duties. Yeah. For me, that's like absconding. It's like a child who's a truant. So, you're supposed to be in school, going through a particular course, but your fees is paid, but you don't attend classes. He did, however, say that he accepts the decision that some of the jobs that he's supposed to do have been reassigned to someone else. But it's his duty, because they're like Fred said, they came into office as a pair, a team. It's his duty to make sure he can figure out how to work with his boss. It's like a marriage, you're a pair, you're a team. So it doesn't mean that there are no disagreements, but even when there are disagreements, it's your duty to see what can you seed ground on to make sure you're working together. Remember, this is not about them. It is about the 48 million Kenyans. We want to see the economy getting back. We're looking to see this year what are the things the budget is going to focus on, because livelihoods have been affected. People want jobs. Okay. Kids' education needs to get back on track. So these sideshows are not helping us as Kenyans. Okay. Biggie, what do you see?
Thank you very much, Trevor. First and foremost, I do want to pass condolences to all the families that have lost leaders in this country, and to the constituents and the country itself. And Mungu watupe nguvu. I'd really want to go against to what my friend Okango is saying. There is no day the deputy president has ignored his responsibility, to make it clear. We all have to realize that he's not the head of state, he's the deputy head of state. And like you've said, at one given time, some responsibilities that belonged to him were moved to a different person or persons. So he would only respond to what he's been told to respond to. We'd only get invited to a function and go. There's no function that the deputy head of state has been invited by the head of state and has failed to show up. And in many, many, many occasions, in every event that he has, be it a church raising function, a border support system, he has always stated categorically that he is supporting the agendas of the government. He got stuck at the big four agenda. That is what he does best. And you see, when we talk of absconding his official duties, like the lady just spoke about, there's nothing like absconding official duties. The deputy president is doing the duties that he was left with to do. And you see, he believes in very simple notions. He'd want to make sure that those who are not able to get any assistance that government would have been given, if the Big Four agenda had not been left course, he would still do the same for them even now. And he's still doing the same. The difference is he's using his own finances, he's using his own resources to do this. The support that he used to have in government is not there anymore. So we cannot really take a gun and shoot his head and claim that he's absent or he's missing. No, he's very present. We see him every day. He attends every function that he's called for. He respects the president. There's not even one single day he said he will ignore the call of the president. That is what I truly believe.
I just want to add something. You see, the thing is, nobody asked him to use his own resources. He is a state officer for a reason. He should be offering sustainable solutions to the people and the youth of this country. There's nothing wrong with charity. There's nothing wrong with being philanthropic. But what we need are sustainable solutions. Solutions that will outlast DP Ruto. Like if he was to move or leave government today, whatever projects he has done, whatever policies he has put in place are supposed to outlast him.
Yeah.
He is in government to enforce laws and to create policies that will create sustainable solutions to the people of this country. So nobody asked him to use his personal resources or his money. If he wants to do that, that's okay. And it's very fine being charitable and being philanthropic. But as the youth of this country, as young people in this country, as Kenyans, we want sustainable solutions.
Yeah.
Sustainable solutions are gotten through governance processes, not through giving out and dishing out things. We are like about 27 million youth in Kenya. How many youth will you give, hair dryers or car wash machines or wheelbarrows? Are you going to, how philanthropic can you be such that you will meet the needs of all these youth? And remember, not all of them are entrepreneurs. Some have gone to university, technical colleges, they need jobs. So we want solutions that cater to the needs of these people. Tell us, how will your government provide jobs for these people who are leaving technical universities or the people who are graduating from university? That transition. So it's not enough to tell us you're giving out things. Okay, the goodies are fine, but that is not a sustainable solution.
Okay.
Trevor,
Let me bring in
Trevor,
I'll give you a chance to respond.
I feel very bad when we say that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya can decide to use his own resources to deliver the government agenda, and the government has not collapsed. It is terrible. Number two, the principles of public finance does not allow any state officer to remove money from his own pocket and fund government projects. And therefore, I submit that the activities that the Deputy President has been doing are not government projects, if at all. He is financing them from his own pocket. But those are activities that is using just for his own reason to further his political agenda. Number two, the meetings that we're talking about that the media has outlined that the Deputy President has been missing are meetings where policy decisions are made, meetings where administrative decisions are made, meetings where some of them from the policy decision comes the legislative decision that is taken to Parliament. And therefore, when you miss such important meetings, then you are missing on the most important issue of this country that leads to legislative proposals. So, in my view, what the young people, forget about the youth, the young people and any other person lacks in this country is an economic environment that provides equitable opportunity for all of them to thrive. That economic opportunity to thrive cannot be provided for by offering wheelbarrow. It cannot be provided for by offering washing machine. It can only be provided for by, number one, ensuring that there's equitable space for young people to do business from their own. Number three, it can only be provided for by ensuring that everyone, whether you come from Homa Bay County, Kasipul Kabondo, Todonyang, Turkana, or wherever, you are capable and suitable to do what you are doing every day to earn a living. Yeah. Because today, Trevor, if I give you 100 shillings, and these 100 shillings, you consume it by mid-morning, then tomorrow, I will not be able to give you because we are so many that I should give. It is not sustainable. Okay. Sustainable development requires that, number one, you must create an environment where everyone thrives. Okay. Then everyone that thrives, you expand the base. And expanding that base will require that now everyone is able to provide for themselves. And that's why, if you look at the proposed amendments, we are talking about economy and shared prosperity that provides equitable environment and economic environment for opportunities for even hustlers, pastoralism, agriculture, big digital economy, blue economy. All that can only be done if that environment favors everyone, not favors a group that is now given, tokens.
Okay, Begi.
Thank you, Trevor. Let me respond again to the beautiful lady sitting across. You see, Kenya, as youth, government does not give us opportunities in any way. Government does not give us incentives in any way. And I think we should really appreciate when someone goes an extra mile and realizes that we've fallen short of this to bring the youth to this level and to be able to deliver the promise that we gave to them. in one way or another because of this reason or that reason. And equally, we should always be able to appreciate the fact that individuals or persons who have the ability to support us in any way are doing so, because without that we can't move anywhere.
Why are we appreciating institutional failure? Because if you are supposed to do something,
just allow me to finish.
No, I'm the host of the show. If you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, then you come back and try and remedy. Should I appreciate you for doing what you were supposed to have done, but you failed?
I'll get back to that. I'm heading to that question. So, you see, the Deputy President is doing what he can to make sure that the opportunities that are available or that are not available, that could be created, is being done. The youth are doing something now on it, okay? When you talk of we should give them opportunities that would outshine time, we have to accept and appreciate that as young people, glory does not come in one day. For you to be successful in life, you have to begin from somewhere. And once you get someone who gives you that chance or support you on that direction, what you do is embrace what you've been given, move forward with it pole pole, continue growing as easy as you can and as slow as you can or as fast as you can, depending on how fast or how good you are in business, or like you said, not every young person is good in business. But you see, you talked of TVETs and you talked of the colleges that train skills. You just need a beginning. Nobody will take you until you sit here, this is a djembe, this is a tractor, this is land, farm. You see, the question on this table would be, why has government failed to support the youth, as Trevor has brought it in on the table? It's very simple. I will not sit here and say that William Ruto is not part of the Jubilee government. He's part of the Jubilee government. And we look at the Big Four agenda. The Big Four agenda had really outlined exactly what needed to be done so that the creation of 1 million jobs for the youth to be available. But I would say generally, government has diverted from the agendas that they had to build the Big Four agenda to something different. That is not what was foreseen or expected at any given time. And to be honest, let's give due where it belongs, and let's call a devil, you know. If I go an extra mile and support a group of young people and hope and believe they will be able to put themselves together until when the government is able to get on track or get to the Big Four agenda and give the opportunities that were needed. We are not supposed to throw stones at the Deputy President because he's doing things on a good gesture. And we do not expect him to continue using the ability he has to give tangible, or like you're saying, outlasting solutions to these issues of the youth. We are 27 million youth, as you've said. We don't believe that he's in a position to do it unless other philanthropists come together and support any ideas we would be having, which at the same time, politically, it's not easy to achieve that dream, okay? And just go to Okango's issue. Okango, even the government is given vijana kazi kwa vijana. It still does the same old things that the former governments used to do. There is nothing good. You see, I wish we changed this conversation from William Samoei Ruto to the government of Kenya. What has it done to us as a youth? If it's not none of us kujipanga, vile watu wanafaa kujipanga kusurvive, we would be dying. If we'd be expecting government to put us together and tell us now, this group go with this, that group go with this. And you see, even me as a young politician or aspiring politician, when I was vying for my seat, I made sure that I would do things that once I leave that constituency, people would be enjoying. Until now, they're enjoying. So whatever little we get, whatever chance we get, we should really appreciate as young people that someone has thought about us, that someone has gone out of his way to support us. We should not expect so much. Now you're demanding for too much. William Ruto is just an individual. Out of his goodwill, he's decided, okay, then this vijana wakuja wateseke hapa, wacha nitoe yangu kidogo niwasaidie. We should really appreciate that, okay, mtu ametukumbuka.
All right, Vivian.
You know, I don't want to belabor the point. No one is expecting too much. We are expecting the level of the taxes we pay. We expect service delivery. We all pay tax. So the thing is, you keep referring to the Deputy President like it's him who's supposed to do all these things. He should do it within government, and that's why it's important for him to attend those government meetings. It's important for him to be in sync with His Excellency the President. We don't need to know that they're having a tea for differences. You know, you're niao. For us, we want service delivery, and no one is against his philanthropy. Like I said, philanthropy is good, but how sustainable is it, and how many people can you impact? How long will it last?
Trevor, if you allow me just to respond to the issue of attending the government initiatives. I think 2 weeks ago, he chaired the IBEC.
Yeah.
Because he was told to share. And anytime opportunity comes his way to do his responsibility, he does. You see, there's never a day he has said he is not working with government or he is not supporting the
So what
government.
does not attending government meetings show or reflect?
You only attend where you've been invited. You see, already, let me just finish. Let me take this to a bit on village level or community or family level. You see, if sincerely the mother used to cook, and today the father says, I don't want to see you in the kitchen anymore, I'll be telling you when to come to the kitchen. Will you go to the kitchen?
Trevor,
Okay.
Trevor, you know, I want us to debate on issues that are affecting the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
And we run away from these personality issues because they're not helping us. But to be that as it may,
Yeah.
in this country, everyone is bound by the Constitution to defend and uphold and respect the constitutional duty of the deputy president applies. And if he is expected to attend the meeting, he is expected to be there, whether invited or not. You know? So you cannot choose that today I'll have a meeting where we're going to have tea, I'll attend it, then tomorrow I'll not attend a meeting where we are going to discuss the issues that are concerned to the young people in terms of policy and legislation. You cannot, I mean, you cannot have your cake and eat it. If you are in government, you chose to be in government, you presented yourself to the people, and you are elected on a platform that you shall deliver. I want to believe Jubilee was elected fairly because they convinced over 8 million Kenyans that they are the best to do this job. And therefore, we gave them the job. We expect them to do the job.
Okay.
But if there is one person in the government or in that formation that is not able to do the job, then that person also should tell Kenyans that I am not able to. The deputy president has told us that in the coming government, he is going to form government with the young people and hustler. But he has not told us in the government that he formed previously, what has he done in this government to give him an opportunity to continue being in government. Then the issue here is this problem of young people not having jobs, young people not engaged in politics, young people not engaged in decision-making has been fixed. What we're waiting for is the implementation of that. If you look at the amendments that are proposed, and I want to refer this because this is what the discussion that we're having today, the framework to provide for legislative processes that will ensure that we amend the small and micro enterprise bill to guarantee young people, first of all, the tax holidays, to ensure that there's incubation of businesses all over the country, to ensure that they publicly participate in decision making, to ensure that there's prompt payment of any business they do with the government institutions, because that's where their money is lying. They are given opportunity, they do business, and then they are not paid for 3-4 years. They are suffering. They collapse businesses. They apply for insolvency. That is the problem. And I started by saying that is the opportunity that we are lacking. And therefore, any other provision in law that supports that should be given an opportunity. Number two, the deputy president said that when he is elected, or if he is elected, he will give every constituency 100 million to the small businesses, the SMEs. But that pronouncement from the top of a car is very sweet when you hear it, but it's not backed by any framework. And you know, when we are talking about having a bottoms-up approach development, it must be backed by legal framework. How sustainable will it be 100? So maybe Begi Gisijo should tell us, when he talks about 100 million, is he also going to give 100 million from his pocket, as Begi says he has been doing, to all the 290 constituencies? Or by then, they could even be 360 constituencies. Is he going to do that? I doubt that. And that's why Vivian says the sustainability of such a philanthropy will not be achieved. Then I also look at the issues that the young people are complaining about. Education. Majority of young people have gone to school. They have their certificates. But you know what they lack? They lack somebody who can now create that environment. They lack that government who can now create that environment and ensure that they don't come to the city loitering to look for jobs. I've seen the media report people with masters sitting at Uhuru Park Why? Because they have nothing to do. They are homeless and they have degrees. We must now start industrializing at the villages. And that's why we say, with the establishment of World Development Fund, we can now start industrializing at the doorstep.
Okay.
With increment of the 35%, we can now start industrializing at the county level. We don't need this rural-urban migration because that is what has caused a lot of problem. The young people must now start creating employment and being the employers from wherever they are.
Okay. Let's talk about, you want to jump in before we move on to the other issue. It's very hard not to talk about the personalities because they're the ones who drive this political conquest. In fact, the next conversation is still about the realignment of the presidential bid.
Okay, Okango, clearly, you see, wherever someone stands to give a word or say what he wants to say to the voters or to the listeners who are around him, doesn't really matter. Pastors preach in the church, politicians have their way of doing their things and they have their platforms, mostly it's on top of their cars or podiums. And you see, when he pledges for whatever he's pledging, he's not pledging because he's fooling Kenyans or he's pledging for the sake of his own finances in his pocket. He said categorically that in future, by the grace of God, if he happens to lead the government, the same way the government puts funds aside for community development fund, he will do the same for small and medium enterprises, okay? We should not also, again, take that one to task because it's as simple as it is. If it's possible to do the constitutional fund, it's also possible to get 100 million extra from government and make sure that the small mama mboga, the wanjikos, are able to get the same chance that everybody else is getting. And you see, when you talk of increasing the 35% fund in the county level, it is said that a minimum of 15% will be disbursed to the counties. It is not cast in stone that we need to, we can't raise it to 35 without having BBI, without spending 14 billion. You see, we are seated here as young people talking of the government is failing us. But at the same time, we are here, we want to, okay, we are like, Okango, you are saying BBI is a good initiative because now funds will move from 15% to 35% in the counties. So hence, it will improve the life of the youth. The 15% already that is in the county. Has it done anything for us? And do we need to spend 14 billion to raise from 15 to 35%? We don't need to because it is written. It's a minimum of, not a maximum of 15%. They can as well sit down in the committees, they sit and say, look, let's raise this thing to 35% or 20%. The 14 billion that is supposed to be spent, the 14 billion that is supposed to be spent on this BBI. Listen, I'm a young person and I think I have to be very realistic. BBI has nothing to support us. When you say of the tax havens, are you giving a young guy who has no even 1 shilling in his pocket, has no business he's doing, has no hope in life, tax haven for 7 years? How many of us seated on this desk were able to do businesses as early as 19, as early as 20, as early as 21, for us to be able to enjoy the 7 years tax haven? You see, let's be realistic. The Youth Commission that is in the BBI, that, oh, the Youth Commission will bring this and that. We already have the National Youth Council. What is it doing for us? We don't know who was appointed CEO and how he was appointed CEO. I don't remember the last time the elections were done for the National Youth Council to go through. Say, let's sit down as youth and agree that, listen, for us to be able to achieve these ideas that we have, for us to be able to achieve the dreams that we have, for us to be able to move to the next level, we need to realistically put government at corner and question them hardly. That will this 35% in any way, as Mr. Okango says, how will it get to us? It will end up being used and distributed by governors as usual.
Yes, Vivian. Let's now we've jumped into the BBI.
This conversation of saying we already have 15% given as a minimum constitutionally, and even if it's raised, you know, we don't need an amendment to raise it to 35. But the truth is, one of the biggest problems
not an amendment. We don't need to spend 14 billion.
One of the biggest challenges we've had is even when this 15% is being calculated, we've been using audited reports from like 5 years. So what happens is it's 15%, but they're using revenue collected. Like if we're in 2020, for example, they would use revenue audited reports from like 5 years back because of just the slow process of getting the reports, the financials of the country audited. So we end up calculating the 15% based on revenue that Kenya collected in 2015, which doesn't help because, you know, it's like the revenues go up every year, the budget like increases every year. And you know that typically when you're given a threshold, government will most likely not overpass that threshold. So if it remains at 15 constitutionally, chances that you will ever get to even 20 or 25 or 30 are, you know, nobody knows. So it is better for us, better for the people in the wards, better for the people in the villages if it is entrenched in the constitution, so that it is clear. There's no, you know, governors, county governments don't have to go and beg national governments, please. I remember there was such a confrontation during the revenue sharing debate. Every year we go through this crazy debate between, you know, county government, Senate, about how national revenue should be shared. So it's better if this thing is included in the constitution and it's clear that now 35% goes towards resourcing the counties. The other thing is, even though this 15% goes to the wards, a lot of it goes towards recurrent expenditure, such that developmental budgets for the development in the counties is very, very slim. So now, if we want to drive development and industry from ward level, it is important and it is necessary that this is entrenched in the constitution and it is increased so that people at the very basic level of governance can get services from the government. So this idea of saying, oh, we don't need to spend, everything good comes at a cost. Everything good. You know, they say no pain, no gain. So sometimes you have to sacrifice a little to get something good. And this other conversation of saying, oh, this BBI has nothing for us, it's a constitutional amendment. It is not supposed to put money in your pocket. That is not how governance works. That is not how laws work. Okay. It's just putting an environment in place to allow you to thrive. Okay. So it's not about, you know, saying now people in Nandi County, you will each get 1,000. No, it is a legal document that, that governs how things happen in the country.
All right.
Yes.
Okango.
Trevor, I think today is it's a special Friday. You know, I want to tell Begi Gesicho that the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 has not proposed the use of 14 billion to create or establish Youth Commission. I think that's a propaganda from the other political wing that we must dispel this morning. Number two, the Youth Commission and the National Youth Council are two different things. The establishment of the Youth Commission is a constitutional commission whose composition has got majority of young people. In decision making at the commission level, there is a vote. And out of the 7 commissioners, 4 of them shall be young people. Basically, it means the decision at the Youth Commission shall be made by young people. But that is not the issue. The issue is, what is the function of the Youth Commission compared to the functions of the National Youth Commission as it exists, National Youth Council as it exists today? Yeah. Number one, there is a provision in law in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 55, that now guarantees the young people economic opportunities, political opportunities, educational opportunities, and protect them from any harmful, you know, activities. Now, with the coming of the Youth Commission, it houses all the needs of the young people, including their private and public spheres of life, so that the Youth Commission can propose legislative, administrative, and policy on any matter that today affects the young people. One of those matters is unemployment. The other one is exploitation. The other one is cultural exploitation, FGM, drug abuse, you know, those things. And I want Begi Gesicho to understand how laws are made. Number two, when Begi says that you don't need a constitutional amendment to increase 15 to 35%, I also want to refer Begi to the provisions of law that when you are touching on any issue that relates to the structure of devolved government, you must take that instrument of power to the people to make a decision. 15% is not 15% until it is effected. The law today makes it very difficult for members of parliament to ensure that the counties get their equitable share, as provided for in Article 203. The reason is, members of parliament have become cunning, and I want to wish Begi well. When he gets to parliament, he doesn't become one of them. Because the members of parliament, they have decided that when they're dividing revenue, they don't use the most recent audit account as submitted to them by the Auditor General. But they have a backlog of audited accounts.
Yeah.
The BBI proposal today, in amending Article 202, it says that when there is revenue to be shared equitably on the basis of the most recent audit accounts, and the Parliament has not approved that, then it can still be used as a basis of dividing revenue. It means Nandi County, where Begi Sicho comes from, or Kisii, will not lack money or will not be starved of funds, because Begi Gesicho and team in that parliament then shall have decided that because we want pension and we want allowances, we are not going to pass these till we are given our allowances. Lastly, we must understand that for you to develop a country, you must project the economic growth. The proposals of the BBI are projected on economic growth. And I fear when people say, where is the money? This country is very rich. Vivian just said, there are certain years of this country when the national government has collected the tune of 3 trillion, 1.6 trillion, 1.7 trillion. But when it comes to dividing revenue, the National Assembly uses old. Therefore, we lack the money. But this time, they have got that leeway. The second one is on projects that the government do.
Yeah.
Trevor, I'll tell you, the control of budgets, before they release money, they must approve. Before the withdrawal from the county fund, it must be approved.
Yeah.
But today, we have seen government projects running like there are millions of them, and the Auditor General or the control of budget is not even aware that what is the due diligence on the money that was allocated before and approved before. Today, the amendment in the county, or rather in the Control of Budget Act, says that that money shall not be released until the county, the Control of Budget does a due diligence to look at the previous money that was allocated. Because I've seen some politicians going by the roadside. Today I'm opening a desk. Today I'm opening a kiosk. I'm going to open a car open there. Tomorrow I'll cut a ribbon to open a bridge that is 1 meter wide. You know, that is misuse of time and resources, because there's nothing they're doing. The controller of budget must now do due diligence. But as I finish, so that I give my good brother
Begi a chance to respond to this.
Begi, I want to urge you, the issues that have been raised in the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, and particularly the issues that are touching on young people, they are issues that were consultative and they were raised by the young people themselves. You cannot say today that those issues are not affecting young people, because they are raised by young people. And I'll give an example. What young people are suffering from today is the issue of how are they involved in decision making. Today, the legislative proposal on public participation, it touches on the young people, right from the national level to the county level. The other issue is, why is it that young people are not politically represented? Today we are here, we are saying we're going to be in Parliament 2022, inshallah. But we are saying, are there obstacles that deny us that opportunity? Yes. What are we doing in the amendment? Proposal of legislative amendment in Political Parties Act that require that political parties must now comply and get 30% incentive on inclusion of the SIGs, the youth, women, and people living with disability. I don't know whether Begi is aware about that and is running. So for me, I want to urge the young people, Begi and the team, that the only thing that is going to save young people today is inclusion in decision making, and also grabbing the opportunity that has been created by the government, not waiting for the government to give you 100 million or a wheelbarrow or a washing machine. It is not sustainable. You must get the opportunity.
Begi.
Trevor, you see, when it comes to the youth, Okango would be very fluent about what he thinks should be done to the youth. We're already sitting in government as we have an existing government. That's what I'm trying to mean. And so far, this existing government, the best that it has done for the youth ni kazi kwa vijana. It has given them slashers, it has given them wheelbarrows, it has given them the spade to clear the sewages. Okango is here giving us very nice English words that there is this commission that has been set to do this. Let's be realistic. National Youth Council was supposed to oversee all these things that Okango is talking about, that the Youth Commission in BBI will bring a different look. There is no different look. If we did not get a chance in the National Youth Service to be able to bring our issues to the table, to be able to call a minister or a principal secretary of a ministry, and as youth, talk to them and tell them that we need 1, 2, 3, 4 things done. Then the National Youth Commission, the National Youth Service, and the Youth Commission that is being talked about is just the same thing, but with a different name. You see, we will never know how they will appoint the commissioners. Probably they will come from a few who are very close to power, who are from within power. I don't think they'll go down to a level where they'll say, sincerely, we need to have such a platform or approach to be able to pick these individuals who are called youth, who would sincerely serve as well. But you'll realize, whatever is happening right now, any opportunity that is seen to be for the youth will not be realized how it came on board and how it went. Nobody will know what happened. This happened, money came, it disappeared. The other day you saw the government said they have set aside 7 billion for kazi mashinani, or kazi kwa vijana. And hours later or days later, the spokesperson says vijana should not go back to the kazi kwa vijana initiative because there's no work, there's no funds for them to be paid. Okango is here really talking on the top of his voice that the Youth Commission will definitely bring a solution to the problems that the youth in Kenya are facing. Kenya is 50-something years old. This is the government that most of us as young people were looking up to and believing, since we've got a duo that is focused on our agenda, we are going to grow. And the Big Four agenda was heading to the right and the right direction as the youth. It was creating 1 million jobs. It was creating opportunities for the young people to be able to earn a living and to earn income. But came BBI. Our agendas were forgotten, okay? The Big Four is nowhere. Nobody is speaking about the Big Four agenda. So the hope for the youth that they will get the opportunities that they thought they will is nowhere to be seen.
You are, however, aware that there was no given time where 1 million jobs was created, right?
No. It was said that, listen, I'm aware, because you see, these 1 million jobs were to be created from the housing initiative. I agree.
This is data. We can't.
I agree, brother. I agree.
There was no point where.
Yeah, just give me a chance to explain myself, brother.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. Yes, the 1 million jobs were not attained. I'm not saying they were attained. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it was not attained because the opportunity that was supposed to be in the Big Four agenda for housing was supposed to employ the youth critically to be able to earn a living. But that issue was set aside. Right now we are moving with an issue of BBI. And another young person would sit across this table and say, it is okay that the opportunity for giving 1 million youth under housing opportunities to earn a living is okay. Let us focus on BBI. The Youth Commission will give us the 1 million jobs. How? If this realistic, tangible, actual project that would really have helped us a lot to create 1 million jobs in the housing project that now it does not exist anymore. How will the Youth Commission fit that one in?
Trevor,
it's impossible.
Okay. Let him finish, Okango. Let him finish.
Mr. Okango, let me tell you, when we are here supporting our youth, we should be very honest to them, and we should be here to fight and support the agendas of the youth. Not fool one another on this table that the Youth Commission will give us opportunity to get the youth on board, running, earning a living, getting money. Listen, brother, one, there's no bank that wants to fund a young person. Second, our government is not seconding or supporting.
Let him finish.
Second, government is not supporting any young project that this is a letter, we've given you a letter of credit, go to the bank. Yeah, we know this group of people, we can support them, you can give them funds, we guarantee. You know, government is not willing to do that. Okay. Those are the things I need to hear our government doing. Okay. You get the point?
All right.
Trevor.
Yes. Let Vivian come in. Yes.
Is Peggy aware that the government in the previous budget had set aside 30 billion specifically for, youth enterprises?
Vivian, are you aware that we have youth fund? We have the youth fund in somewhere in Upper Hill. Can you tell me the number of youth who are accessing that fund? Are you aware that
I cannot tell you the number of youth because I do not know the number of youth.
There are so many financial platforms that have been put aside,
Mr.
Let her
let me finish.
answer, then you respond.
When you were talking, we were all seated here very quietly listening to you.
Kindly proceed. Kindly proceed.
So, what I was saying, government in the previous budget set aside funds to support not just youth programs, but also small and micro enterprises. For youth, I know there's specifically 30 billion. So maybe the challenge is in how can youth be made aware that these funds have been set aside so that they can take advantage of it, and so that these funds can help them. So the issue is not that government is not doing anything. I think there are programs that the government is doing. There just needs to be an improvement in terms of the communication and the uptake of taking advantage of these things. In addition to that, BBI is not just about the Youth Commission. There were 9 specific points that came up from the BBI. And these were things that came up as a result of wide consultation in all the 47 counties. If you did not get a chance maybe to present your views, I don't know, in that BBI report, there was like a really long list of all organizations and just individuals who sent in their views and also just gave their feedback about what they thought the issues were. So you cannot rubbish these things and say they are not issues or they are non-issues. And you cannot, make the BBI just about one singular item. This is a constitutional amendment. We are saying it cannot carry the aspirations of all the 47 million Kenyans, but it will carry the aspirations of some. That is what a constitution does. This is the very first amendment we are having after the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. So it means we cannot again get everything right in the first amendment, but we can touch on specific aspirations. Remember, this BBI conversation was as a result primarily of a very, very contested election that really divided the country. And it was not the first one. We had gone like 3 election cycles where there was always, violence, the economy going down every election cycle. And I think the 2 principles, the main idea was, how do we ensure we do not go through, we are going into another election, that time it was 2018, we're going into another election in maybe like 3 years. How do we ensure that we do not go through another economic slowdown and violence after an election period? This is what sparked off this conversation. A desire to ensure that there's peace and there's prosperity in terms of building the economy. In the midst of these discussions, it came about that there are certain things that need to be amended within our constitution for us to move forward. So there's no way we can make everything bright. Remember, when the constitution was promulgated, it was clear that even at that point, the constitution would still have things that would need to be amended. So it's when these people who say Linda Katiba, they're linding it from what exactly? From what exactly? Okay. Every constitution is there so that as you progress as a nation, you amend and correct, things as you go along. Okay. So we are having the first amendment. It doesn't mean it is the final one or the last one or the only one. Okay. And wait, Trevor, and when you tell us very quickly,
you guys have to understand that there are rules in this game. Okay. This is why I am
forget what I was going to say. Okay.
I have to take a quick break because this is a commercial break. It has to run now.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
When we come back, I am starting off with my thoughts.
We'll decide when we come back. I mean, this is, okay, this is crazy. We're still in the youth. Anyway, let's take a quick break here. On Daybreak, we'll be back with much more in just a bit. All right, thank you so much for staying with Daybreak. I see a lot of your feedback online on the conversation we're having with the young people here in terms of the BBI, youth and succession politics. Let's see what you're saying really quick. Engineer Lazaro says, days of mocking youth with empty sweet talk such as your tomorrow's leaders are long gone. They should now arise and demand their rightful positions in creating and building the economy, not with one-wheel machines. Flavian Mulama says, as youth, I am convinced that BBI will never be a silver bullet in contested elections. We need to invest and strengthen institutions like IEBC. It's months to an election and it's not fully constituted. Okay, let's see here another one from Kiprono. Abraham Kogo says, you must stop arguing to massage the egos of pro or anti-BBI. We should be discussing what affects the youth and whether they can be solved through enactment or amendment of the law or just administrative adjustments. Vivian, you wanted to finish your thoughts before we bring in Okango.
Well, I agree with his sentiments. Like I had said earlier when we started the show, what we need are sustainable solutions through legislative actions, through administrative actions, even through executive orders, you know, from the president. So national proposal for the National Youth Commission is one such proposal. It is not the only one, and it is not, if I can say, maybe a silver bullet to, you know, solutions, but it is a start. Okango also mentioned amendments that have been proposed to the Political Parties Act, which will allow for a little, you know, additional inclusion of this demographic, because it is important that the youth are involved in leadership conversations and in the leadership space. The reason this is important, and the reason I personally urge a lot of young people to get involved in political discourse, is because this is where decisions are made. You know, budgets are made, made and discussed at the executive and at the legislature level. If you're not in this space, if your voice is not heard here, then you have very little contribution. Okay, yes, you might do public participation, but when you go even to these public participation forums, you realize that not very many young people are involved. So these are the conversations we need to have. Get involved in public participation, get involved in political discourse, because this is where you can drive, you know, your agenda. You can get your stuff listened to and done. Okay. So as young people, it is important that we get involved in these spaces. It is important that we contribute to these conversations. Nobody will take care of your interests if not you.
Okay. Yes. Okango?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind our viewers that the greatest beneficiary of this constitutional amendment bill are the young people. And I want to speak to them specifically this morning, because if you read the memorandum of objects and the reason of this bill, it attempts, first of all, to address the issues or challenges of implementation of this constitution that we have today. Beggy has talked so much about what their government that he belongs in is not doing, and I've talked about what that government should do and how they're going to do it. I hope Beggy in his response will tell us how their government will do that. Now, in the Constitutional Amendment Bill, the greatest sufferers that we have seen today are the young people, and this is how it is going to address the issue. Number one, if you look at the amendments to strengthen devolution, number one, when devolution is strengthened by providing all these resources that we're talking about, ensuring that the World Development Fund is put in place, the beneficiaries will be young people, because that money goes to the location where majority of the people are young. Number two, the amendments, legislative amendments that now include young people and subject political parties as a matter of fact that they must include young people in their list, in their political structure, will also be of benefit to the young people. Then, Trevor, we must also remember that this youth commission that people have been talking about as a sweetener, it is not a sweetener, because they are forgetting that today all the issues of young people are three. Number one, employment opportunity. Yes. Number two, business opportunity. Number three, political opportunities. Yes. And those three opportunities, if you lack as a young people, then you cannot survive in this country or anywhere else. So they proposed amendment that creates or establishes the Youth Commission, houses all the challenges that the young people are having, and it does not leave it there. The young people have been saying, but you make decision for us. Now, This amendment brings the young people to come and make that decision on their own behalf. And they say, now propose legislative amendment that you want to support the provisions of Article 55 that requires that you must be protected by state on education, employment opportunity, and from harmful activities like drug abuse and all those things. So after we leave this show, I hope your cameraman will take that shot, because I'll hand over the bill to Begi Gisicho so that he goes and reads it. And he doesn't mislead other young people in Nandi who want more resources. By the way, do you know that after this amendment, Nandi County alone, where Begi comes from with the other young people, will receive at least 50% more of the county equitable share of what they're receiving today. And I want to ask him, that money when it comes to Nandi, and God willing when Begi Gisicho becomes the member of parliament, and can now talk about even the constituency development fund to support government projects, and can now talk to his MCA, I don't know where his ward is, of ward development fund to support the millions of young people there. He will be smiling and saying, I made a mistake to argue with Okango on the benefit of Constitutional Amendment Bill. Okay. I want to say that as I finish. Today, Trevor, opportunity has come for young people. We must not squander this opportunity. Okay. This opportunity allows us to engage. This opportunity gives us a platform where we can now start calling out leaders. And as Begi Gisicho calls the government, I think he should also call out the leaders that he supports that are in government that has failed him and other people. You know, Begi is a very good friend of mine because I know he is a businessman, established businessman. And if you look at how Begi does his thing, he supports so many young people. But he cannot do it alone. Yeah. You must now support a government that is going to create an environment to support you, support many more young people. I believe at the end of this show, Begi Gisicho will endorse the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 because it is helping him support other people.
Okay, Begi.
Trevor, you see, first of foremost, I want to say that I'm a very realistic person. And my issue here is not being against BBI. My issue here is, what change will BBI bring on board? My other concern is, the BBI process will cost us as a nation 14 billion. With the little reason I have, with the little brain I have, this 14 billion can be channeled to solve our issues as youth right now and many other issues that we face in this country. The agendas, the agencies that we have in this country is not BBI. Let's be realistic. Second, if you look at what Okango is saying about, this has to take me back again, Trevor, but allow me, about Youth Council giving opportunity. The Youth Council cannot give opportunity to 27 million youth in Kenya. But the creation of channels where youth will get opportunities to earn a living is what matters. Like the Big Four agenda. Big Four agenda was on course. The housing project would have given a million, would have, I'm not saying they have, would have given 1 million young people a chance to earn a living. Don't tell me one commission will come and, okay, everything else will work there, 1 million youths will get money and 1 million, no, let's be realistic. And this, whatever is being proposed in this amendment bill on the youth affairs, is the same things that we have. Lillian, I don't know, Lillian or Vivian, let me tell you one thing. Vivian, let me tell you one thing. As we sit here, we should really think critically. Who are we fighting for? Are we fighting for the people we are assumed to fight for? Are we fighting for ideologies we are fighting for? Or are we supporting the youth that are with us who are struggling? And that's why I categorically say one thing. This government, when I say Okango, you've said that I should also consider not support the leader or whoever I'm supporting. He's in government, okay? He's in government. So when I'm accusing government, I'm including him. We should focus our interest on very simple issues. You know, you cannot tell a young person who has not eaten or bought a new shirt for the last 1 month that BBI will buy you a shirt. No, give them solutions immediately there and then. You can't tell a hungry person who has no food in his stomach that BBI will come and give us a solution. No, I'd want to see this solution starting now. And my point is this 14 billion that we're spending on BBI can be taken forward. We can all vote for it at the same time when you're voting a new president. Whoever the candidate will impress Kenyans, whoever Kenyans will choose. We don't need to do it now. We don't need to spend the 14 billion now. And then you see, it's very simple. When we sit here and tell young people that the Youth Commission will give us the solution that we want as young people, that is what we were told with National Youth Council. That it will give us the solution we need, that will give us a chance to participate in government, that will give us a chance to fall into leadership, that it will give us a chance to be involved in every decision that this government, any government makes. That has never happened. And that, like I said earlier, even in this commission, who knows? the criteria that is going to be used and the youth that are going to be picked to sit in the commission. You're saying 40%. It was you who said 40% must be on the board of the youth commission. Do you mean that the young people right now are not suitable enough to serve government? Cannot fit in any commission to give their points? Why do we need a constitutional amendment to give a chance to youth that you need this constitutional amendment for you to be able to sit in this commission? That is not realistic, and that is what I'm trying to say. Let's walk the talk. Let's do these things now. Let the government that is here with us start doing these things now. Okay. Give a chance to these young people who are available. Okango, you can sit on a commission and reason very well. Are you in any commission? Do you need the amendment bill for you to sit? No, just allow me.
I hope you're not inciting me.
No, I'm not. I'm not. But I'm just using this as an example, Trevor. You see, we cannot sit here and say that the youth will be fine if the amendment bills for the youth commission will be passed because it will cater for us. It will not. As it is right now, vijana wanajipanga wenyewe.
Okay.
Vijana wanajipanga. That's why I started. Let's appreciate the philanthropists who go all the way on their own volition and support the young people in the little way that they can.
Okay.
Let's us who are in a position to do this, support the same young people the same way we can. Let's not lie to them that this youth commission, a small section of BBI, will come and change their lives.
Okay.
Let's be realistic.
Vivian.
I don't know, maybe he's not aware. They're actually young people who are in commissions, and CIC is one of them. It has 2 young commissioners who are within the youth bracket. There are chief administrative secretaries in this government who are young people. So sijui wewe unaangalia serikali gani, lakini wako.
Zach Kinuthia is not young. He's surpassed the age of 35.
It's not only Zach. Okay. There's also Nadia Ahmed.
No problem. But
yeah,
you see,
so that's just an example.
That's exactly, it exactly goes back, Trevor.
No,
it goes back.
That's just to show you that you are saying we start now and it is already happening. So it is not far-fetched. It is something that is already ongoing. You see, it is happening. So these amendments is just going to entrench it in the law so that more young people can get opportunities in these spaces. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say is, you know, the Deputy President once went on national television and said, whatever happens in the government, it is His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and himself who will be held responsible. So you know now, he cannot separate himself.
No, he cannot.
He, by his own admission, said they are responsible for projects, for everything that the government does. So now, despite the philanthropy he is doing, he needs to get his back in it and work for the people of Kenya. Not through, you know, town halls and meetings in every other county, but through government processes, the government processes that exist. And that is done through cabinet meetings, that is done through, you know, policy decisions. You cannot do that through roadside declarations. Okay. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, and I remembered this before the break, I wanted to say, these same people who are saying we do not need to amend the constitution now are the same people who are opposing. Most of them were in the no camp when we were having the initial debate to get a new constitution in 2010. So now what we'd like to know is, if you're saying BBI does not meet our needs and does not, you know, deliver what it's required to, what is your proposal? What are you bringing to the table to say, okay, if this is wrong, then maybe let's try this? And if they are suggestions you have, why were they not given to the BBI task force when they were receiving feedback from the people of Kenya? You cannot also tell us to wait until 2022, and then when we go to the ballot to elect a president, we also vote on the BBI. I told you just in this show, the reason why this BBI conversation came was because of a contested election. So we do not want to go back to another election before we sort out this election process. How are we doing it? How are we refining it to make it better so that the economy doesn't take a beating because of an electoral process?
All right. Okay.
Trevor, we have had people talk about the cost of amending this constitution. And Begi here has told us, and he has repeated, I think he has mentioned 14 billion 21 times in this show. Yes. But you know, Begi must understand, what is the cost of election violence in this country?
Yeah.
Cost of economic meltdown, cost of death, baby Pendo, and the rest. It is more than 14 billion. What is the cost of underrepresentation, which is now being cured by ensuring that the population quota is met? We have populations in this country, constituencies of 600 people, represented by just one member of parliament. Even in terms of service delivery, it is not efficient. That is what BBI is addressing. What is the cost of exclusion of special interest groups? People living with disability, young people, women. We are talking about Duale 1 to Duale 6. The issue of women has not been addressed. The 2/3 gender, it has not been addressed. What is the cost of corruption? We are talking about amending the provisions of Article 80 that now mandates Parliament to ensure that they craft laws and provide a framework that will guarantee expeditious way of dealing with matters, corruption, and integrity. That's what we're talking about, because we have been told, and it is on statistics, that we lose 1/3 of our budget to corruption. So the biggest problem in this country is also corruption. And if you don't do this beggy, then you cannot compare 1/3 of 3 trillion with 14 billion. You cannot compare death of a Kenyan who is not even political, but a Kenyan who deserves services because of political division with 14 billion. You cannot compare. Beggy, you cannot compare the exclusion of young people who are suffering, me, you, and them, with 14 billion. 14 billion is nothing. And by the way, we have had people complain that why do we need even 14 billion? We can do this thing with 5 billion. So for me, constitutional amendment might look expensive, but guess what? Failing to amend this constitution today and now will be more expensive than the cost of amending it. So I want to urge us, as young people and those who are watching, as we listen and debate on all these issues, it is not about the cost. It's about the long-term effect that failing to amend will bring to our people. We are likely to see an economy that is collapsing because we failed to recognize that agriculture, blue economy, pastoralism are forms of livelihood and put them in our constitution, because we failed to recognize the responsibility of leadership and, or rather of citizens, and bring it as a factor in fighting corruption. Okay. We are saying that a lot of times it's only the police and institution to fight corruption. No. Today the BBI is saying that it is a citizen's responsibility to combat corruption. We're even using corruption fight and waste of public resources as a criteria in dividing revenue that is going to go to county where Nandi County and others where Beggy is to come. Okay.
Beggy, I'll give you the final say on this, because I wanted to hear your views on this political realignment.
You see, just to repeat myself again, yes. My issue with BBI is we are seated here on behalf of the youth, and we are purely thinking about the solutions for the youth. If it's anything else that Mr. Okango is saying, no problem. Those are things that can be achieved with time. It takes time. Even this BBI will not be able to achieve all these things. But I'll bring this back to the topic why we're here today. You see, young people, as we are right now, we are struggling. And there are current matters, current issues that we need to address immediately than BBI. You see, BBI can always be sorted out within a specific period of time. It's not an urgency. We have young guys who are sleeping hungry. We have young guys who cannot be able to attend school or college or anything. We have families that are struggling. They don't know what to do with their lives tomorrow. There are young people who have school, like you've said, you know, a master's guy who goes to sit in Uhuru Park. We need to find solutions for those people now, not tomorrow. You cannot leave someone dead hoping that tomorrow when you find the solution, you'll raise them up and give them life and tell them, now, there's a solution for you here. We need to do it now, not then. And that's my fight. My fight is this. This 14 billion that Mr. Okango has an issue for, I don't know. We should not even be having an issue with this 14 billion coming to us as young people, because you see, sincerely, we need the support of government. And these finances that government can comfortably and easily put aside to BBI, they can easily put aside for the youth. How easy was it for government to decide they'll spend 14 billion on BBI? Why not? Could they do the same, make an easy decision that we're going to spend 20 billion to the youth as we continue doing BBI? Why should we ignore the young people and allow them to suffer and die in the process as we wait for BBI? The same way they had the courage and they got the funds from nowhere to support BBI with 14 billion. This is the same way they should come up and say, okay, vijana, hatujawasahau. We're also giving you guys 10 billion. We're also giving you guys 20 billion. This issue of saying that we need to secure our country from violence. Whatever we went through in 2007, we'll never do that again in this country. And it's not a topic that we should even bring on the table, like Okango is saying, we should, if BBI does not go through, we might get ourselves into violence, we might get ourselves into issues. No, that you're scaring people. Kenya is a peaceful country and nothing is going to happen even if BBI does not go through. Kenya is a country that needs to be organized. As we have suffered a lot, I don't think we have the energy to go fight one another because BBI has not passed through, because the Youth Commission has failed in BBI. No, we should think solutions right away. And that is why, with the little that we have, with the little that other leaders in this country or in government have, they keep pushing and supporting the young people the best way they can. There's nothing else about it. I'd wish the same way, I'm challenging you, Mr. Okango, I'd wish the same way government was able to put aside 14 billion from nowhere. They'd put aside the same amount for the youth. Kusema vijana, hold yourself with this. As we continue pushing for BBI, you guys are losing the point. The point here is, how do we support? How do we survive? How do we get a chance as young people? You're 27 million, as you've said, and we are here talking about BBI will be the solution for us. How? That is not realistic. And we're here casting stone on someone who's building and giving hope to the young people in the little ways they can. We should join hands, like you've said, and support this individual to support the more young people that are in need of any support.
Okay.
So, Mr. Okango, Kenya is a very peaceful country, and BBI will not make people fight in Kenya because BBI has not fight.
Government is advising opposition.
No.
That's the nature of politics.
In fact, we do not even have opposition in Kenya.
Apparently, we don't have opposition.
We do not have opposition in Kenya.
I want to get your quick views, and Vivian, I'll start with you. And it's still also on the front page of the dailies. What's Raila up to? Now they're talking about political realignments. What do you see in these political realignments? We've seen Kivuta Kibwana say he wants to run for president, Machakos governor, Alfred Mutua, Mukisa Kitui. Everyone seems to want to run for president. What do you see in these political realignments? Because it's just a game of musical chairs. They keep moving one step to another. What should the youth do going forward now?
Well, Trevor, you know we're about 17 months now to the next general election.
Yes.
If we're to go just by the Constitution. And it's expected that, before we get into a general election, there will be political realignments. Unfortunately, our politics is very ethnic-driven. When politicians are doing the math, many times it's based on ethnic numbers. And so it is not surprising that you will find political leaders drawn from particular communities coming together to try and kind of solidify the ethnic numbers. Hopefully that will change over time, but I think as at now, I believe the voting in terms of behavior of Kenyans will more or less fall along the lines of ethnicity. That may change with time though. So I think for young people, it is about not thinking about your ethnicity, but thinking about your interests. Who among these politicians carries your aspirations? Who will walk the talk? Because like we have said during this discussion, young people need jobs. Those who are in business or entrepreneurship need a stable economy. They need access to credit. They need access to market, for their goods to be able to just do business. No one wants to, hang on to one person to provide for them. People just want to work hard and provide for their families and for themselves. And of course, the last one is inclusion in the leadership space. Yeah. So young people must critically ask themselves, I might be from Nyamira, but who carries my aspirations? Do I have to vote for somebody because they're from my county or from my constituency? Or can I trust someone from Tana River, to deliver what they say they will do? So it's about looking at all these politicians from the time they got into this leadership space. What is their track record? What have they done? Have they walked the talk? When they say they support democracy and they support inclusion and they support economic recovery, what are they doing to show that they are trustworthy? So we need to look beyond. Let's not make the mistakes we made in 2017. Nairobi, for example, overwhelmingly voted in the former governor, Mike Sonko. He got, I think, almost 870,000 votes or something like that. But was he the right person for Nairobi? Did we vote short term, just thinking of the current, what he's giving me? I talked to a lot of people during that time, and many people would say, oh, he's given me some money, he's given me some food, amepeleka mtu wetu nyumbani kuzikwa, But that was very, very short-term thinking, because is that sustainable? After you get the money and buy the food, or after you go and Zika your person, what next for the next 5 years? Because these leaders are there for 5 years. So you need to think about sustainability. How will your families and your children and yourself prosper? When you're picking a leader, it goes beyond just their charisma and their philanthropy. It's about what are their values? What do they stand for? Okay. Will they walk the talk? So as young people, as a young person, I would say when we are going to the ballot, we need to think critically this time round. When we're electing people all the way from presidency all the way to MCA level, think about who you're voting. And this thing of voter apathy, of saying, oh, I won't vote, even if I vote, they won't help me. It's not about that. It's your sovereign right. So you need to participate in the process.
Okay. Okango?
We have seen in the media, Trevor, about new entrants. Some of them say they are not in the forest, and that's why they have got a better view of the canopy. Some of them saying they're the best. But you know, Trevor, we must give it to them. We have a constitution that is very progressive and guarantees everyone a political right, and that is their right to contest. But I can assure you, the coming election, 2022, particularly presidential election, will be a contest between those who believe in the aspirations of Kenyans and those who believe in their own aspirations. Those who believe in their own aspirations have started the campaign today, even before delivering what they promised. Those who believe in the aspirations of Kenyans are making amendments that are going to ensure that Kenyans move as a team to the land that will have opportunities for everyone. I don't want to say much about that. Number two, I am very disturbed that today, this morning, majority of young people are still looking at politics as another bad thing, while they are the greatest sufferers in this country. I want to ask young people, as we head to 2022, with these few months that are remaining, engage in politics, engage in decision-making, engage in discourses that will ensure that we get the best, not only at the presidential level, but even us at the lower level. I'm glad a young person like Beggy is running for office. I'm glad Vivian is talking about politics. There are many more out there, but those who are not, let's engage in politics, because politics determines the price of food on your table. It determines the price of everything you buy, the cost of everything. That is what politics is, because it is political decisions that sustains an economy. It is political decision that breaks an economy. So for me, I think with the coming, I saw the other day the 5 M's, Moses, Mudavadi, Moi, and Musyoka. I saw them. Then yesterday, I saw the immersion of Muhisa into the forest by Right Honorable Raila Odinga. So when Muhisa Kitui comes in and the young people look at him and say he's an outsider and say, I think we need to encourage many. We need to see even a 27-year-old running for president, a 30-year-old. I participated active in the last presidential election. As you know, we also produced a candidate who was a newcomer. And sometimes some of these newcomers have challenges, So what we are saying is, today, if we are looking at all these political realignments and we watch and comment, where is our space? What are we doing to occupy those spaces so that when that time comes, we say we are the majority and can make a decision? I don't see any reason why young people cannot elect one of their own as the president in 2022. There's no reason. There's no absolute reason that they should do that. And I want to encourage them. Even as you look at yourself and say, me, I'm going to run for MCA, member of parliament. No, there's nothing that stops us from fronting one of our own to be the president. And these old men, we can chase them out of this town by just doing that. So I believe that when we participate, we engage, and we get the best out of it.
Okay. Big.
Yeah, whatever formations people want to take, it's allowed politically, and every person has a right to vote, to vie for any seat politically in any place, any zone. And I also want to support the lady that it's true, we should look at the values, not the surname or this is my person, or we all agree on that. And at the same time, we should also consider deeply that how do you tell a good leader? How do you tell this person who's going to help us? You see, before you get even a chance to serve and you're able to assist your people the best way you can, should really be appreciated in Kenyans. Kenyans should not take this for granted. It's not normal for any person who would go their way. Don't say it's a political scene that people do this, do that to bring people close to them. No, not really. I don't think so. It is about being philanthropic and being in a position where you feel like sincerely I've passed this village and I can really see people suffering, and sincerely being in a position to assist them. Yeah. That is one thing I would say. Secondly, about Okango, kidogo, I'll differ with you in one way or another. In politics, there's no time to start politics. You can start politics immediately after the new member of parliament is elected, or a year after, or 2 years after. There's no specific time in the constitution that they would say you cannot go to the ground and tell the people that, yes, you see,
there's
I did not get a chance. Listen, listen, Okango. Once an elected leader is in the seat, is assumed to serve. There is nowhere in the constitution where I'm being told as a young person, I cannot go again, convince the people for the next chance to come. I can start anytime I want to start. If Okango has a place that like that in the constitution, he can share with us. But basically, let's go back to the key point here. As young people, we are 27 million. This 27 million is a huge number to make decision. Out of the 27 million, I would say maybe how many of us are eligible to vote? Let's say 18 or 15 million young people are eligible to vote. When you're making this decision to go vote for a leader that you want to, look at the track record of these leaders. Sit down, listen to their ideologies, listen to their values, not the committees they bring together, not the team they bond themselves together. I don't know, the M5, I don't know, whatever name I've had, I don't know. I even don't know there's an M5. But a leader can walk alone and still deliver. You don't need to be a group to deliver. You see, even David was in the forest looking after sheep, but he was called and told, you are the leader. The brothers were seated there as a team like the M5, you see. At the end of the day, being discerned or being left alone does not mean you can't lead. Leading is a call from God. And Kenyans, wajinga waliisha Kenya. You see, we all have a chance to decide who will give us a chance, who will lead us well. We all have that opportunity with our vote. Okay. We just need to take our time, understand, check out well, who is a good leader? What does it mean? You know, you don't say a leader is bad because I was told Okango is I'm not saying he is, but I was told Okango is a devil worshipper, so I can't. If you don't know that, you don't know that. So I don't want for us to sit here and say a leader who's begin to to vie early. You see, we all begin early in one way or another. Even Raila, even Baba began very early, and that is why he's fighting for BBI, because he's going to use this BBI as a weapon. But I didn't hear Okango talk about that, because at the end of the day, he has a preferred candidate that is looking up to and believing that this is the person, this is the person that will take us ahead. But let's be fair, on a fair ground, and agree and accept that politicians have their way of doing things, and politicians have their grounds and they have their time to do their own thing. Allow them to do what they want. As Kenyans, let's listen to them. Let's pick the best. Not coalition, not groupings, just individuality. All right.
We have to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time. Frederick Okango, Secretary General, Third Way Alliance, Vivian Tarr, governance expert, and Begi Gesicho, aspiring politician. Yeah, for Nandi.
Absolutely. All
right, brilliant. Let's see what you're saying online. Let's bring them up and see what your feedback is and see what you're saying. Timothy Mudeki says Vivian Tarr should go to the car wash that has been funded by His Excellency DP and tell those youths that she should go and demand that they return their tools of work to government and wait for the BBI to facilitate the same. Never despise what you have and wait for what is to come. All right? So you call yourself Millennial Youth League. You say the BBI should have included Youth Development Fund, specifically for the youth run by the youth, out of the monies that go to the CDF and WDF, that's a World Development Fund, 5%, should move to Youth Development Fund. Kiprono Abraham Kogo says if Kenyans youth have stooped that low, that they champion constitutional amendment in the name of solving their problems, we are doomed. Yes, we should participate in political developments in our country, but that is too much. Otieno Ambala says Kenyans are prepared to come up with fresh minds in 2022, fully implement the 2010 constitution to save us in the deep streets of this country. The speakers are not realistic. Has public participation applied to the county assemblies today? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for all the feedback. Coming up now is DJ Carbon, but also at the same time, there's an entire new debate that's coming up. We're calling it the Great Debate. The Machakos senatorial candidates social vetting exercise on leadership and integrity is happening at Musi FM. That's it, our sister radio station, just happening in the next few minutes from now. They're getting ready. But for now, we have DJ Carbon. That's the site you're seeing there. All the senatorial candidates will be there. All of them actually will be coming through. That's it. We're calling it the Great Debate Machakos Senatorial Candidate, happening in the next few minutes at Musi FM. But for now, DJ Carbon takes it away right after this break. All right? Bye for now.